still wake up in cold sweats. When we wore the goggles, it wasn't just us who could see them. They could see us too. I was an air gunner in the Vietnam War, part of the 1st Cavalry Division, 229th Assault Helicopter Battalion. At night, we'd see these horrifying, demonic-looking entities scattered across the battlefield, but only with the goggles. They appeared to exist in a parallel universe. During those times, technology was rapidly evolving, and we were given night vision goggles. These goggles provided us with an advantage in the cover of darkness, using a photon-based system that translated signals into the red side of the light spectrum, but they revealed much more than expected. While using these prototypes, we saw things that drove us to the brink of madness, monstrous, nightmarish creatures. They appeared to be from another dimension, but were right before our eyes. The modern night vision devices, which translate electrons into green light rather than red, do not reveal these entities. As we peered through those red-tinted goggles, we didn't just see human enemies, but also beings that defied explanation. These demonic figures, bathed in the crimson hue of the night vision goggles, seemed to be everywhere. They lurked in the shadows, perched on trees, and even hovered in the air. Their chilling presence drove some of the most hardened veterans to the edge of insanity. We didn't think they could see us, but they could. The realization hit us like a freight train. Wearing the goggles didn't just allow us to see these entities. It made us visible to them as well. It was as if we had stepped into their dimension, breaking the barrier that kept our worlds apart. And once that barrier was breached, it was permanent. Even after taking off the goggles, the entities remained visible, haunting our every waking moment. At first, we thought it was just a fluke, a trick of the mind. But the more we encountered them, the more undeniable their presence became. Some of the entities were aggressive, attacking without warning. Others seemed indifferent, watching us with cold, calculating eyes. The worst part was the unpredictability. We never knew which type we'd encounter. One night, during a routine patrol, the inevitable happened. A squadron of us, armed with the night vision goggles, found ourselves surrounded by these otherworldly beings. Panic set in, and someone opened fire. The rest of us followed suit, unleashing a barrage of bullets into the crimson-tinged night. To our horror, the bullets had little effect. The entities moved through the hail of gunfire as if it were nothing more than a light drizzle. The firefight quickly turned into a massacre. Our men fell left and right, their screams mingling with the unearthly sounds of the entities. Those who survived the initial onslaught were left traumatized, haunted by visions of the creatures that now roamed freely in our world. We suffered heavy casualties that night, and it became clear that conventional weapons were useless against these beings. Higher-ups, desperate to contain the situation, ordered a secret recall of all night vision goggles. They didn't want to cause a panic, fearing the repercussions if the truth got out. But it was too late. The damage had been done. Those who had worn the goggles were marked, forever linked to the entities. A secret war began, fought in the shadows and hidden from the public eye. Special units were formed, equipped with experimental weapons designed to combat the paranormal threat. These soldiers, dubbed ghost hunters by some, faced unimaginable horrors on the battlefield. Their mission was simple: engage and neutralize the entities, prevent them from spreading further into our world. We quickly learned that some of the entities could be repelled by specific frequencies of light, while others were vulnerable to certain chemical compounds. Research and development became a race against time, with scientists working around the clock to find effective countermeasures. The war was fought on multiple fronts: on the battlefield, in laboratories, and within the halls of power. Despite our best efforts, the entities remained a constant threat. Each engagement was a reminder of the fine line between our world and theirs, and how easily that line could be crossed. We had opened a door that could never be closed, and the consequences were dire. Now every night I lie awake, knowing that somewhere out there, in the shadows, they are watching. The secret war rages on, and we fight not just for our lives, but for the very survival of our reality. As the war progressed, it became clear that the spiritual warfare ignited during the Vietnam War was far from over. The red light prototype goggles were quickly recalled and shrouded in secrecy. The technology was tested and enhanced to combat these entities more effectively. This new technology opened an unexpected door, bringing cryptids into the physical realm more frequently. Creatures of legend, werewolves, mothmen, and skinwalkers, plus much more, and ones that we've never heard of. They began to manifest, adding a new layer of terror to the already dire situation. The secret war escalated, prompting the formation of an international black-budget paramilitary unit known unofficially back then as the Ghost Hunters. This team, whose real name was only recently leaked, but is believed to be a false name. We don't know much about them, besides them being highly classified and uses advanced versions of the red photon technology to take the battle to the entities. Their mission: hunt and neutralize these cryptids and otherworldly beings. The war, however, was getting worse, with each engagement revealing more about the nature of their enemies. A deeper understanding of the entity's emergence began to take shape. According to ancient lore, an ancient tablet was found describing beings known as Archons. These entities were once rulers of the fourth dimension, but were defeated in a great war and cast into a lower dimension, a purgatory of sorts. Humans, it was said, played a role in the Great War, and the Archons now sought revenge. They believed themselves superior and viewed humans as rightful denizens of their lower dimension. The Archons' agenda became clear. They thrived off chaos and destruction, seeking to keep humanity stagnant and regressed. They did not want humans to reach their full potential, as other supreme beings did. Instead, the Archons aimed to bring the human race down to their lower dimension, using humans to take their place. According to some mythologies, the Archons were seen as jailers, imprisoning the divine spark in human souls, holding them captive in material creation, but were once very similar to us in many ways. But when humans were created, some were jealous of how we were freely given gifts of life like knowledge and wisdom. Unlike the Archons, where they had to evolve and go through this extremely long and grueling process of chaos and failure before they evolved spiritual, physically, and mentally as a race of beings, and how the Archons started from the lowest form of existence, working their way into the fourth dimension over almost an eternity. With humans' reality being created in the third dimension gave us a significant advantage. With only a matter of time, us humans would surpass them. The ancient tablet from a lost civilization revealed that the Archons went to war with other beings in the fourth dimension and lost, leading to their exile. The Great War. Some embraced us, while some saw humans as a significant factor, making us prime targets for the Archons' vengeance. Believing themselves superior, the Archons sought to subjugate humanity, dragging them into their lower dimension to use them as pawns in their quest for dominance. The Paranormal Hunting Unit, armed with this knowledge, realized the stakes were higher than they had ever imagined. Their fight was not just for survival, but for the very essence of humanity. The entities they battled were not mere monsters, but ancient jailers seeking to reimpose their will. The secret war raged on, and the ghost hunters stood as the last line of defense against the encroaching darkness. As the conflict deepened, the paranormal hunters discovered that specific frequencies of light and certain chemical compounds could repel or harm the entities. Research and development became a race against time, with scientists working around the clock to find effective countermeasures. Each engagement was a reminder of the fine line between their world and the entities, and how easily that line could be crossed. Every night, the veterans of this secret war lie awake, knowing that somewhere out there, in the shadows, the entities are watching. The battle against the Archons and their cryptid allies continues, a struggle for the very soul of humanity. The ghost hunters, officially known as the Phantoms, paranormal hunting and anomaly neutralization team of former Tier 1 military specialists, are at the forefront of this fight. Their mission is to protect humanity from the Archons' insidious plans, and they face unimaginable horrors with every engagement. As the war intensifies, the battle is becoming more physical by the day. The Archons, ancient jailers of the human soul, are using the chaos they create on the planet to open gateways for lower-form cryptid creatures to invade our world. These entities, from werewolves to skinwalkers, are manifestations of the Archons' malevolent will, and they bring terror wherever they appear. The Phantoms are tasked with combating these threats, using advanced red photon technology to fight back against the invading forces.